So Godfrey the Betrayer is a 4-mana 5/4 undead legendary for Warlock that says, start of game, overdrawn cards return to your hand when you have space, and they cost 1 less.
Amazing. This is a real rule breaker. I can get behind. Am I most excited for Warlock? I might be most excited for Warlock because this feels like very, very new and different.
Yeah, not to foreshadow anything, but this is the kind of thing that got me really excited, and then I saw Priest and I was sad. But anyway, we will get there when we get there.
Indeed. Welcome to episode 550 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, June 11th, 2026 in the evening. Coming to you from Nomergon, Ohio, it's me, Edelweiss. From North Rend, Massachusetts, we have Wicked Good.
Hi.
From Teldrassil, California, we have Megasa.
Hello.
And from all around the world, we have you, dear listeners. This week's episode is brought to you by our producers, Number Theory, Crash, Beef Squatch, David P., Jeremy T., Bottle Caps, Grumpy Monk, The Burger Club, Kirk Regan, May, NY Kiwi, Spine, Grizzly Bear, and by our patrons of the week, Control Priest for the win, and Samurai Flea. You can go to patreon.com/CoinConcede to get perks like a thank you at the top of the show, bonus post-show content, early access to new episodes, and help support the show in the process. If you would like to support the show but cannot do so monetarily, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast feed of choice, as it always helps other people find the show. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, my light is bad because it's very, very hot here, and I don't want the extra heat from my lights as much as possible. Make it slightly better. But
Yeah, that is why my door is cracked open in the background. So that the air conditioner and the fans.
I have a very, very quiet fan blowing on me right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, life and ladder.
Well, welcome back. First of all.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm still, faintly sick. I was on Sudafed every day of the last championship. And was doing a lot of turn my volume off, cough, try desperately to hold it in for times when I was on camera, which is the worst part. But yeah, we made it. Really appreciate y'all holding down the fort. And
that's what we do.
Yeah. Including holding the website together and making a new one.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, there were times during the broadcast that knowing that you were sick, I could tell that you were sick, but it was subtle enough that I knew that and I listened to your voice enough to know that it sounds a little bit different, but not enough that any normal person would be able to tell. But I could oh yeah, I could hear a little bit when you were talking for a while.
I did have a minor heart attack when and this is very rare for this production team, I will say. But my vMix camera is just going, right? And production puts it on or doesn't. So at one point, I'm just at my computer and then I'm watching and listening. I'm like, that's weird. Why is my face on the screen? I'm not on right now. I'm on break. What is happening?
I was actually watching at that point, and I could see your smile when you realized what was happening.
And I was just like, I'm not going to go into the other channel and go off my break early. This is not my problem to fix. But I also didn't want to draw, I don't know. I didn't want to just shut the camera off either, because it wasn't like I was eating or something. I don't know. I was just sort of, uh-oh. This is
you weren't doing anything untoward, like playing Marvel Snap or something.
Yeah, that'd be terrible. Although, they wouldn't be able to, they'd have to see in the reflection off my glasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to be, preemptive thank you to both of you as well, because I'm now got a family vacation coming up. I will be back in time for, next week's show, but it does mean that editing is going to be not so possible for me. But yeah, keeping things brief because we got a lot of cards. How are things with the two of you?
I've, have been playing different things back and forth like I've been kind of doing, bouncing around. But today I had 2 quests that said, play these various classes, and the only overlap between them was Priest. So
Oh no, you had to play priest. Whatever will you do?
I fired up my list that says, my imbue control priest list, which this particular one is even more focused on the imbue. Like, it's running pedal peddlers, and it's running the deal 5, heal the opponent for 5, which actually did win me a mirror. Also, I managed to get their demolition renovator, which was nice. But I was actually able to kill them first, even though they had more teched for the mirror, which was satisfying. And I actually did all right. I was actually slightly positive today, even though I had one game where there was like several unlucky draws for me and several lucky things for my opponent all at once. To be fair, though, I'd also made at least one misplay that game. This is important to remember these things when you lose because you're unlucky. And also shout out to a player named Tactician who was playing Leyline Mage and actually crushed me. They got both of the things that cause your ley lines to cast an additional time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Arcanomicon, and they chose Empowered. And then so they were summoning 9-drops off of the Summon a Minion. And they got the Sauropod that gives +3/+3 to all your minions in deck and hand.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And then they also had another summon one. And so I died. There was also a lot of like elusive going on.
Yeah.
They summoned a minion that like has immune if it's your only minion, and I didn't clear in the right order, so then I couldn't clear it. Stuff like that. Then when they added me after, I had that one moment of like, oh, is this a flame ad? But I thought I've only once had somebody flame ad me when I'm the one who lost, right? Like most of the time, if people win, they're not salty. So, and indeed, they were a listener of the show, said some nice things. So it's always very appreciated. Yeah, that's a fun perk sometimes. And I suppose even if it's control priest, it is on brand for Megasa to be playing priest.
Yeah.
How about you, Wicked?
Well, there's nothing really special about what I've been doing in the game this week. I've been playing Druid still. I got to the point, like at a point this week where I'm like, maybe I should try playing something else. And then I got wind of the balance changes. I'm like, okay, I'll just wait. So probably this weekend I'll try something else. But because it was turning into like every game was against a hunter, and Druid is not good against either flavor of hunter. At least I'm not good piloting it against either flavor of hunter. So it's kind of just like hard stuck, but I didn't really want to do anything to change up until I heard what the balance changes were going to be. So I just kind of accepted my fate and whatever. But we can probably talk about this more in the post-show content for the patrons if we have energy after. But I have 47 years too late have finally started falling into watching anime. So I watched all of Free Run season 1.
Nice.
Recently, because it's on Netflix, and then I've gotten into the Apothecary Diaries, so which has been pretty good. So I may need recommendations that don't involve me signing up for yet another streaming service, because I don't want to sign up for Crunchyroll at this point.
Sure.
I'm like not that into it, because like I went to go see where Free Run season 2 was because it wasn't on Netflix. It's like, oh, I have to sign up for Crunchyroll. Like I'm not there yet. I probably will be, but I'm not there yet, and my kids are into this, but not into it enough to maintain an active Crunchyroll subscription. So
what are kids for? Gosh.
For keeping me company at Commander Night, apparently. But yeah, so anyway, I liked Free Run a lot. That was unexpectedly delightful. And the Apothecary Diaries it took me a little while to warm up to it, but it's been growing on me. So. And I still have like half of Delicious in Dungeon to go watch. But that
I was just going to say, I think you were already in Delicious in Dungeon.
I was there, and
Very
I kind of like watched an episode. I'm like, this is a lot. Like they yell a lot in that show, and I'm like, I deal with enough yelling. I don't really want to listen to yelling. But yeah. Anyhow, but that's abbreviated Life and Ladder because we have way too much to talk about. We have a balance patch, we have a Masters Tour, and we have about 11 bazillion cards that got revealed over the past week. So we need to go get into all of those things right freaking now.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
All right, we're going to start with balance patch 35.6.2, which was released today as we were recording June 11th. There are balance updates for Hearthstone Arena and Battlegrounds. As usual, we will leave the Battlegrounds changes as an exercise for the listener to go find on your own, because there are a lot of them, and we are not Battlegrounds experienced enough to know what any of them mean. So there's a lot of things going on in Battlegrounds. If you're interested, go check out the patch notes. There will be excruciating detail. We will be getting another dev update video on YouTube on June 15th, which I believe is Tuesday. It's Monday. Unlike they say it's going to be covering Escape from Violet Hold in the new pre-release Tavern Brawl format. So I would not expect it's going to be another dramatic reading of the patch notes like the last one, but we should be getting some insight into what's going on with the new set and with the new pre-release Tavern Brawl. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye out for. We obviously will discuss that at length in next week's episode once we've seen that. But for now, we have some balance changes to standard. So the dev comment is, with the new expansion on the horizon, we're taking this opportunity to tone down some dominant cards from the current meta. We've had our eye on these cards for a while, but held off since the meta was in a mostly balanced spot. Now, with a major shakeup on the way, it feels like the right time to bring these powerhouses down a notch. Confront the Tol'vir, public enemy number 1, has gone from 3 mana to 4 mana. If you are not familiar, it's the spell that says replay each 1-cost card you've played this game, targeting enemies as possible. The dev comment is confront the Tol'vir has been weakened to rein in the strength of No-Hand Hunter and Companion Hunter builds. Hunter has been showing up a bit too often, and this adjustment should help bring things back to a healthier range. Interestingly, Hunter has been appearing more often than its power level alone would suggest, pointing to a particularly compelling play pattern. Given that popularity, we're opting for a simple mana nerf for now to make it a bit weaker instead of less interesting. We'll continue to closely monitor Hunter and Tol'vir going forward. So I would imagine that the kinds of nerfs they might be looking at otherwise, if the play rate and the power level were both out of line, would be things like taking the card draw off of Tame Pet or moving Tame Pet up to 2 mana. Those would be the more extreme nerfs to both of those decks. Even No-Hand Hunter is running Tame Pet just as the card draw, both initially and then out of Confront the Tol'vir. So them just pushing Confront the Tol'vir 1 more mana up it's still a good card. It's still very playable at 4.
Yeah, not all No-Hand Hunter lists were running Tame Pet, right? There were other ones that didn't go for Sans Tame Pet and instead went for like the 3/3 that wakes up when you use your hero power and take advantage of that with Kaldorei. But yeah, I do think that I'm wondering if they're filtering at all a distinction between Companion Hunter and the Face Hunter when they're saying like it wasn't a power outlier, because it's like, well, maybe the class wasn't, but you look at this weekend, the Face Hunter is like the most banned winningest deck. I think it's still good at 4, and I think that affects the Face Hunter deck more than it does the Companion deck. So
yeah,
which
is good.
This is a card, and I know I've seen a lot of sentiment that I think there's people on both sides of this. There's plenty of people who've been calling for Confront the Tol'vir to be nerfed for quite a while. They might not even be happy, because I think it still is good at 4, because you're not usually playing it on curve. It does get rid of that like absolute insane turn 3 Confront the Tol'vir when they got like double Tame Pet or something in the Companion Hunter, and then they play Confront the Tol'vir on 3, but that was rare anyway. Usually you don't even want to do that. You want to save it. So I think, 1 mana nerfs do make a difference, but in this case, it's clearly still very good. But I also know that there's a definite contingent who feel that we shouldn't hit cornerstone cards just because they're flashy, right? And the Companion Hunter certainly was a play rate outlier and not a power outlier, but I think you do have a good point that the Face Hunter, the No-Hand Face Hunter, is a power outlier to some extent. And I think they didn't kill this card. If they had killed this card, I would definitely be upset about it.
Yeah.
because I think it's what makes a lot of hunter archetypes viable. As May told us a couple episodes ago, that's also true in Wild. The 1-mana nerf may make more of a difference in Wild, I don't know. But
does make it even instead of odd. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, that does make
that
a
might
difference.
matter.
Yeah.
But it's something that makes the deck a lot more appealing, Hunter in general. So I think having it around is good, and I think we still have it around. From the data that we have so far, again, as we're recording, it's been less than a day since the balance changes, but with a few thousand games, we can see that Companion Hunter is at 51.8% right now, Diamond through Legend, and No Hand Hunter is at the top at 56.6%. Still a little bit less popular than the Companion Hunter, but seems to be gaining in popularity.
Yeah. I mean, the card is very good. It's probably too good, and it can afford a nerf, and the decks will still be fine. I think that's kind of the. I mean, we'll have to see when it's, a couple days out, and like we're recording this literally 6 hours after the nerf, right? So things can change. There could be other decks that can take advantage of that. This doesn't seem like the kind of nerf that's necessarily going to make that big of a difference, but it does slow it down and bring the power level a little bit closer to Earth, which is what you're looking to do. And we don't want the deck to die. We just want, some of those really oppressive play patterns to get reined in a little bit, which is what this does.
Yeah. I mean, we still need No Hand Hunter to counter all the Herald Rogues that we're seeing.
Yes. We super do. So anyway, the Eternal Hold, which is the legendary location for Demon Hunter, it went from discover any demon that costs 5 or more. If your deck has no minions, your next one costs 0, to if your deck has no minions, your next one costs 1. So we've applied the Bodicus rule, which we have not invoked in a long time, and certain listeners of this podcast may not even recognize the name, let alone the rule. But that things should only be reduced to 1 and not 0. But the dev comment is, despite costing 6 mana, Eternal Hold has been one of the strongest cards to keep in your opening hand. This shows that a lot of power is concentrated into the single card in No Minion Demon Hunter, and this change should help bring the card's performance more in line with the rest of the field.
Yep.
It slows it down a turn. You can't play this on 6 and then play the minion. You're going to have to wait till 7 to do that, which, gives one turn does make a difference in a deck like this. So.
Yep.
I think it could be a little rough for the Demon Hunter, because I do think that mana nerf matters more. And there seems to have been an uptick in play rate in Rogue, which is not a fun matchup for the Demon Hunter. Although I suppose this particular nerf doesn't matter that much for that matchup for Demon Hunter, because it wasn't having Eternal Hold be active anyway. Most of the time.
The reason that it's rough is that this cares about having no minions in your deck. Rogue will shuffle a minion into your deck in the form of King Lane. That's in case you're not sure why that matters. That's the reason that it matters. So it turns off all the no minion stuff in the deck. Hatchery Helper, which is one of the cards that's being seen a lot in Token Druid, is going from give your other minions with 2 or less attack +1/+2 and taunt to give your other minions with 2 or less attack +1/+1 and taunt. The dev comment is Hatchery Helper has been adjusted as part of our continued effort to tune Token Druid. This archetype has been resilient through multiple changes, so we're taking another incremental step here to keep it in check. So this change will effectively just make it a little bit easier to clear after they play Hatchery Helper, because the 2 health buff is still quite a lot.
Yeah, Hatchery Helper is definitely a standout in that deck. Not enough data on Token Druid right now to see how it's reacted to the nerf. I faced someone with it, and the Hatchery Helper was still a pretty good play for them today, but I was playing Priest, so against an aggro deck, so I won that game. Because I managed to draw my clears. You can lose that as a Priest if you just don't draw or generate clears, but Wicked is nodding sagely. He's like, yes, that has happened to me.
Yep, that does happen. I can confirm, yes.
I think this is the biggest hit to the sort of ultimate 1-2 punch that they had of the Ravenous, summon 3 2/1s at the start of your next turn, and then you would just curve that into Hatchery Helper and have a board full of 3/3 taunts, and that just felt like a lot.
Yeah. So now there'll be 3/2 taunts, which is a little bit easier. I mean, as a priest, you can Holy Nova that board. That's a big difference than needing to have like a Medivh's Triumph in order to clear it. That is legitimately a big difference. And like a first stage Sylvanas can clear that board, as opposed to having to have played one of the sisters first.
Well, and like if you use your turn to playing minions, like you can actually do something to that board.
Yes.
Right? Like
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because they have taunt, so you have to go through all those minions first. So yeah, that can be rough. And speaking of other cards that are in the Token Druid, Twilight Egg. So the change that's happening is that the base stats of the whelp that comes out of Twilight Egg, it's losing 1 toughness, 1 health. So it's going from starting at a 2/2 to a 2/1. So generally it's going to, if you let it stick around for a turn, it'll be a 3/2 and then a 4/3. So again, taking a little bit of a cut off of the health in order to make it a little bit easier to clear and not quite as resilient. And the dev comment is Twilight Egg is a particularly efficient neutral option, which is centralized early game strategies for a variety of mid-range and board-based aggro decks. We're dialing it back to help rein in these decks. This one sparked a bit of internal debate as we kicked around which number to tweak. In the end, we landed on health, since the real frustration is how much effort it takes to clear the whelp. This is a relatively light touch adjustment, and it's a card we'll continue to keep our eye on. So this, again, doesn't kill the card, I don't think, but it just makes it a little bit easier to deal with than it had been before.
I saw a number of Twilight Eggs today. I think the card stays, but it definitely did feel easier to deal with. Like, I could Eternal Firebolt it when it had 4 attack right after 4 turns. You can still clear with 3. Like, there's just all those breakpoints for the early turns make a big difference, or like the likelihood that you'll have a minion that can trade into it. So I do think that this is a significant change, but also it's a great card. So I would, again, we're recording this only 6 hours later, but I would expect we'll still be seeing Twilight Eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, none of these are nerfing these cards into the ground. None of these are saying your minions with charge have +1 attack, right? Like, these are very light touches, and just these cards are outliers, and they're trying to bring them in a little bit. And this is, like, if we were talking about like League of Legends, these would be like decimal point adjustments to try to just shave a little bit off and make things a little bit more in line, which is fine. That's what we don't necessarily need to nerf every card that's good into the ground, because then we just have Chillwind Yetis bouncing into each other. So these are good light touches. They're probably needed just because these cards do sometimes feel unfair in those contexts. And then there is one buff. Some might call it a revert. Some might call it the change we deserved, whatever it is. But Crystallized Leyline is staying at 5 mana, but it is now going back to starting as summoning a random 6 cost minion. So the dev comment here is, on the flip side, Crystallized Leyline is receiving a buff. Our previous adjustment didn't quite land where we wanted it to, so we're rolling back the previous reduction we gave it alongside our earlier buff to give it a better chance to make an impact. So it's still going to come down a little bit earlier, but it's going to be a little bit easier to get it to 8 when it actually starts mattering, and not summoning you 3/3s that don't affect the board at all at 7. That's,
Still think that could have been 6 mana, 7 to 7, so that like your most likely upgrade scenario gets you to the juicy 8s, but it's fine. Yeah. Overall, I'm sort of like, okay, this is fine, whatever. I still am like just desperately waiting for the new cards, and and broadly, like, if there was a change that I am like waiting and hoping for, partially because I'm scared of what some of the new cards are going to do, it is Egg to, like, for Kalos to not have taunt anymore.
Yeah.
Which, the fact that we made it have taunt so that card would see play, I think is an indication of like what we want in design, right? Because we've now gotten tired of it, and so I'm not the only person that doesn't want Kalos to have taunt anymore. But I think you could have released it with taunt. People would be excited about the new card instead of saying, hey, what are ways that this could change so that we can play with the new card? And then now we still want to take away that taunt that we fought for earlier.
Yeah.
because we've now grown tired of it. Like, to me, the clear direction is, hey, we want to play with the new cards when they come out, and then have them toned down. It becomes weird if it's like, okay, we need this buff so that we can play with it, but then when we're tired of it, we want it to go away. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's just like the power level. It seems like they're a little bit too afraid of outliers, and so but the problem is not power. The problem is outliers, and because they're bringing everything down power to start with, the outliers are that much more outlying, as opposed to if everything was a little bit stronger, then maybe you wouldn't have these outliers and you could shave a little bit off the ones that really are still a little bit too strong. Like, I'm not saying aim for a 10, right? Because the old saying goes, if you aim for 10, you'll hit 11. But we've been aiming for like 6, it feels like, a lot of the time. And we could aim for 8 or 9.
Yeah, I'd rather get the 11s and tone them down than
Yeah.
than what we've been having.
Yeah. But if everything is 11, then you're balanced, right? So that's also a thing.
I will say, first of all, I was mentioning this before we started recording, I think. Leyline Mage is, with the small sample size, positive right now on H's Guru. Will that stay? I don't know, but it's at 50.4% Diamond through Legend. Not enough data to say at higher ranks whether that drops off or what. It is good into Rogue, and Rogue has a 25% play rate right now.
Yeah.
So if Rogue dips, then that'll change.
Well, I did need a new deck, so, and I do hate rogues, so there we go.
Well, it's that time of meta, right? It's the, hey, we're all going to play this kind of rogue because we're waiting on the new cards, right? Like, that's...
Well, and it has the new card in it, right? It has Vanessa in it, the Herald Rogues
Funnily enough, because of that, if you try and build a, like, hey, my only minion is Vanessa, or like Vanessa and the dragon to draw into Vanessa, you just get wrecked because they nightmare fuel your Vanessa because it's guaranteed. So you get punished for trying to like actually build around just the new card, and they just do it first. Yeah.
That is very rude. I will say, there's something to be said for metas that change more often, more dramatically. Absolutely. I think we've said that a lot. There are also players who don't play as many hours as we do, who prefer metas that don't change dramatically under their feet all the time. I just want to put that out as a counterpoint.
Yeah.
I think, have been bouncing around enough, in part because nothing's really like grabbed me like, I want to play a million games of this. Maybe if Control Piece was better, I would have done that, even though I'm an aggro player. But I've also enjoyed pretty much all the decks that I've bounced into. So I will say that as well.
Yeah, I mean, my number one thing, and I didn't get to talk about the cards last week. I am much more optimistic about this set than I have been for things in a long time. I still think they could have pushed some stuff further. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But my number one thing is I want to play with the new cards and really feel like I'm playing new stuff, rather than something I am still worried about, which is that the best way to do the Warrior Legendary is Egg Warrior.
Yeah, we were talking about that in our group chat the other day.
So
you could just do that and just like, okay, well, you've got Egg, you've got Umbra, you probably cut Xavius, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff looks powerful and cool. I'm excited about Miracle Rogue, but I'm also hesitant because I feel like I was excited about Cataclysm, and like I don't want to be disappointed again to see that things have not shifted as much as I expected. But there are a lot of cool looking new cards that we should get into that are legitimately exciting.
Yeah. Just one quick note on Arena. There are a bunch of new cards that have been added. The new cards like Tunneling Geomancer, and also all the leyline cards, and then a couple of other ones. So the leyline cards were not available in Arena before. Now they are. You can play Leyline Mage in Arena. Maybe, I don't know if it's better or worse there, but you can do it. So just be aware that is a thing. And then, of course, Battlegrounds changes. So Yep, that's news. But we did have a tournament this weekend, and we do want to talk about what happened there. Speaking of no hand hunter.
It's the grand tournament.
So I will keep this brief, but it was a fun Masters tour. Despite my not feeling great about playing in this meta, it's still always fun to cast the pros and to see how stuff has shifted. That being said, not a ton of different decks. I think the main thing is compared to playoffs, like Hunter everywhere. The Marithra Druid was like 13 of the 16 druids, something like that. And then a lot of quest mage this time around. And then, the rogues were back. They took a break during playoffs and then they were back. The face hunter, I think, was the deck of the tournament. It had to be in everything because it's just really, really good. It was the most banned for sure. Yeah. I mean, God. Win rate 69.2, and but yeah, it only 9 and 4 because it was banned. Any other time it was in a lineup. Mage performed very, very badly, 45.7, because there were vipers everywhere, and because some people took a specific like target mage approach in terms of like bringing aggressive lineups. That did not end up panning out in terms of people actually getting through. I don't think any of the aggro lineups qualified. But Soiderin had a no minion DH that it seemed had like largely fallen out of favor, but he kind of just had this read, hey, everyone's going to be thinking about mage. I'm just going to bring the Demon Hunter again, alongside the Marithra Druid, the Herald Rogue, and the Face Hunter. And really, really paid off. So, always fun to watch these. Marithra Druid, the most popular deck, actually, because a few people brought Companion Hunter instead of the Face Hunter. And then next most popular, Herald Rogue, Quest Mage. And just like a smattering of other stuff, you can tell the aggro lineups because it was like Herald Shaman, Token Druid, Dragon Warrior, and then of course the Face Hunter. So, in terms of games to watch, we really just day 3, the finals was amazing. I mean definitely if you can afford to, if you can just put it on in the background, watch the whole thing. End of day 1 was the last game or match was kind of absurd. I felt bad for them. I feel like that one match was 3 hours or some nonsense.
That one match probably took more time than like the first 3 or 4 matches of day 3. Like day 3 had like an absurd number of 3-0s to start off the day.
Day 3 is fast. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. It was crazy. Only the 4th quarterfinal went beyond 3-0. Yeah, all of our picks got knocked out. But yeah, day 3 quarterfinals, Disdemon versus Curfew. Definitely a great one to watch.
I almost don't know if I want to spoil it, but there was a lot of random stuff summoned, and one of those things was a Noggin Fogger, and then somehow there was like multiple Noggin Foggers.
Yeah.
And it's hard to clear Noggin Foggers when you can't target them reliably.
Yeah. It was absurd. It was the most Hearthstone game.
It's actually a group of Noggin Foggers is a cluster.
And then the finals was phenomenal, Soiderin versus Curfew, but in particular, game 1, Curfew just makes a decision of like, well, I have to do this. It's a weird situation, but I've just got to go for it. And that also sped up the day. Again, not wanting to spoil, but lots of unusual things happening on that day 3, and it was always a blast to have. It was nice having Bunny for playoffs when Pocket was on vacation. But yeah, I do feel like I'm so used to having Pocket now, and Pocket is who I practice being the host role with, because obviously I'm not the analyst in that pairing with the former world champion. Yeah, check it out. Keep esports live, and yeah, let's go ahead and talk about new cards.
All right. So we have so many cards to get through. So, listener, hopefully we are going to be vigilant enough that we don't talk about every single card. So if we don't talk about a card, that was by design. We will have more weeks, including after all cards are revealed, to go through things in more detail. We'll have theory crafting to watch. We'll have the pre-release brawl, although the pre-release brawl won't tell us what any real decks are going to look like because of the format for the pre-release brawl, but we will have more opportunities to get into some of these cards. So we're going to try to focus on legendaries and class packages. We do want to shout out just a couple neutrals to start with, though, and one of them, I think, is Togwaggle Smuggler King, which is an 8-mana 5/5 neutral legendary battlecry. Shuffle both players' hands together. So I want to clarify how this works. If you have, let's say, 7 cards plus Togwaggle, so after you play him, you have 7, and your opponent has 3 cards, all those cards are kind of pooled, and then randomly they get 3 out of that 10, and you get 7 out of that 10. And I did see a confirmation that you will always have at least one card swapped, so that you can never have nothing happen by crazy chance. There will always be at least one card swapped. There's a card we'll see later for which this will matter. If your opponent gets back some of their own cards, those don't count as having left their hand and then come back. They were always in their hand. That will matter later. Because there's a card that cares about if your opponent had cards enter their hand this turn.
Sure.
We'll get there. But, I mean, Togwaggle to me seems like just a very Hearthstone card, right? It's expensive. It's crazy. It does not give you card advantage. That's very important. But it could be disruptive. If they have a small hand, you could get their combo piece.
So if you have no cards and they have a full hand, you don't get half of it?
Nothing happens.
Okay. Yep. Nope.
I don't even know. I wonder if it even lets you play it. I guess it would let you play it as an 8-mana 5/5, but nothing would happen because I guess how does that work with you're going to swap at least one card? I would assume that would be the exception.
I would assume that it's, as long as you have a card after him. Yeah.
This is not Mind Render or Lucia. This is not something where you're going to be able to like eliminate cards in your opponent's hand. You're just going to be able to move. If you have a handful of junk, you can fill your opponent's hand up with junk, but you need to have that hand of junk in order to make that happen.
Yeah. I actually think that, I mean, it's 8 mana, so it doesn't serve that function exactly anyway, right? Like, at no point are you putting an 8 mana 5/5 in your I want to empty the cards out of my hand style of deck, even if that would be a crazy swing. Yeah, I still don't think this is something you run on purpose.
No, it's probably not. I don't think so.
Unless you're memeing, right? But like, if I'm thinking, I don't know, like, what Azalina was, you turned your hand into a copy of the opponent's hand. The only thing I can think of, is like trying to disrupt a combo, or like, my hand is bad, let's see what you have. But I don't think you don't run a tech card that's this bad, and you don't want to, like, there's no build here. Yeah.
We just talked about Noggin Fogger. This is on the level of Noggin Fogger. This is going to screw up some random minion summoning pools. I'll tell you that much. That it'll do.
For sure.
But this is not, I mean, this is the kind of thing that you could get generated and try to figure out when to use it. There was the original Togwaggle would swap both players' hands, I believe.
No.
It's about your decks. It's about your decks. Yeah.
Yes, but you gave them a ransom or whatever
Yeah.
that they could play to get their deck back. And the whole thing that you would do, right, is you were a druid, you had lots of mana. I forget exactly how this worked, but you would Dogwaggle and then refresh and Azalina Soul Thief. So they would have the thing to swap decks back, but you would also have it. And it would be this hostage situation where if they played it, then you played it. But if they didn't, they didn't have a deck because you emptied your deck before you swapped.
Right.
This is not by no means a build around, right? This is just chaos.
Yeah.
And some people do like to watch the world burn, to be fair.
I don't mind having a disruption card be bad and therefore niche to people who really want to play it. You know, if you had like a handful, a ton of coins or a handful of discard fodder, although I don't think it would count as discarding, like then it might be okay, but I doubt you're running it on purpose. But I did want to call him out because he's a legendary and he's absurd and he needs some clarification.
Yeah.
All of those reasons. So I believe we already talked about Zeramat's Prison last week. I don't know, do you have any quick... This was the one that was choose a legendary location, choose a card to discard to summon a 5/5 taunt, death rattle, free Zeramat who plays one each turn.
It's cool. It doesn't seem like an auto-include. I find neutral locations interesting, and I feel like this absolutely could see play in something, but I just don't know the best home for it. Except, obviously, Warlock has discard things, and you get to choose what you discard, and so, yeah.
Speaking of the card that it matters whether a card technically has entered your opponent's hand during your turn, I did want to mention Rat Burglar, which is a neutral epic minion, 4 mana, 2/6. At the end of your turn, steal all cards that entered your opponent's hand during your turn. So the obvious card to play with this is Mimicry, which is a 1 mana spell in Rogue that draws your opponents a couple cards and you get copies of them, except if you have a Rat Burglar out, you will get all of it and they won't get their cards.
Yeah. And the other one's the Murloc that draws you both a card.
Yes. The most hilarious idea that I had with this was Lorewalker Cho.
That's a dangerous game.
But here's the thing. As long as Rat Burglar's alive, whenever you play a spell, they get a copy, and then you get that copy back at the end of the turn, so they get nothing from you. But you get stuff from them.
I mean, It's wild, so this probably isn't good enough. But I think you would actually just break the game with Counterfeit Coin, Lorewalker Cho, and Rat Burglar. Because you coin, you give them a coin, which gives you the coin to give them a coin.
But it's end of turn.
Oh, okay, great. Never mind. All right, not breaking anything. All right, moving on.
Don't worry, you're not the only one to have had that thought.
Good. No. It's for the best. I appreciate that foresight on their part. Otherwise, that would just be infinite combo, and then what do you kill them with? There's got to be something that does...
Oh, I'm sure there's something.
There's like a 6 mana card that does damage for each time you've comboed that in Rogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd find some way to do it in Wild. Yeah.
There was also a card in Standard that has not seen play yet called Socket Sapper. It's a 4 mana 4/4 rogue minion that says Death Rattle, return a random enemy minion to your opponent's hand. It is a Death Rattle, so that might make it a little hard to pull off. And it's a random minion. But theoretically, if you had that with the Rat Burglar out, like if you had the Socket Sapper out and you could trade it on your turn, then the Rat Burglar would give you whatever the Socket Sapper bounced.
I think you're more likely to use Daze.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Daze. Totally forgot about that.
Or Twilight Mistress, right?
Stop. Okay. Next card. I mean, look, you would have to like stick an Aralex or something, or be running a Sarah because that's too much mana.
Or you just play against a druid who's running a Sarah, and then you just happen to do that, right? But yeah.
Okay. No, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, moving on. Jailbird, I want to call out. Jailbird is a 5 mana 3/4 beast, neutral, taunt. When you prepare while holding this, reduce this card's cost by the same amount. So this seems great.
Yeah, particularly because one of the neutral prepares is Auctioneer. Yeah, I think between Auctioneer, Vanessa, and potentially like the spell damage one would reduce it by, it says by the same amount. So I guess that includes the extra mana that it
I would
gives you
assume
when you
so.
prepare. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you could, if you're running the spell damage one, and then some class specific prepare. Like I think there's real potential for Jailbird. Definitely in the Rogue Miracle deck, and maybe in some other deck that like wants to run. I mean, the fact that Auctioneer and Vanessa are neutrals along with the spell damage actually makes me believe that there might be a non-Rogue Miracle deck, which is awesome.
Yeah. But even like I've been playing it in Druid this week, Vanessa, and like having to take the turn off to prepare her, even if you're only doing like partial mana,
yeah,
like it's rough when you're doing that, and being able to drop a taunt to protect your face on the turn that you're preparing is a big deal
for sure
when you are running prepare minions.
Yeah. And you can either, you have flexibility. If you need to drop it to defend yourself, you can do that on the turn you're preparing. Or you can use it to combo off. Like, it's another cheap card to play with Vanessa. Or you could play it with Defy a Smuggler, which is a 3-mana, 2/3 prepare battlecry, give a friendly minion +2 attack and rush. You'd have like 2 free minions at the same time that you could combo together with something else. So I think that the Jailbird is pretty flexible. You don't put it in like every single deck, of course, because I think you need probably to be running at least a couple different prepare cards, but I don't know that you would need that many to make it worth it.
Yeah. It's more than just Vanessa, but it's not that much more than just Vanessa.
Right.
Yeah. I would agree.
Oh, there was Pickpocket, right? Which is because we're going to have other things that are on this theme. The 2-mana, 2/3 Mac Battlecry, if your deck has 25 or more cards, draw a card. We don't need to talk about it much. We'll just kind of note that it's there because we're going to have other things that are going to have similar text that this is also going to be relevant for. But there's a bunch of things that are going to make big decks, and this is going to help you move through them a little bit faster.
Right.
Yeah. I want to make one note for clarification on Escape Artist is a 2-mana 4/4. After this attacks and survives, draw a card and escape the game. That just means she poofs herself.
Poofs with an F.
Poof. Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that was real clear.
I have to enunciate. Yes, poof. Like Life Sentence or Reno.
You value trade something, but instead of getting the value of the minion in play, you get to draw a card, and then she goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Infernal.
Yeah, Infernal. Oh, yeah, this is a 6-mana 6/6 demon with Death Rattle, deal 3 damage to all other characters, also triggers in hand or deck. So if you burn this, if it is destroyed through, like, I think Gnome Feratu's in standard now again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if somebody no, it's never going to happen, but if somebody Gnome Feratu's you and gets it out, or if you discard it, say to the location, right, then you'll do 3 damage. That's going to be your face as well, your face and all of your minions as well, so do be aware of that. But this is something, if you're doing discard, if you're doing overdrawing, which is going to be something we'll talk about in Warlock, this is also a relevant thing that is going to potentially be part of those strategies, or could be at least.
Are we sure it works with discard?
It says triggers in hand or deck, so
I imagine that as like destruction, right? Like if it gets burned from overdraw, or like
it does.
Your hand's full and you try it does from discard.
Yeah, it was confirmed on Reddit that it does activate on discard.
Okay, yeah, that's a big deal then. And again, mostly Warlock, but if you're somehow have other reasons, then you run this with that Zuramat's Prison. I mean, that's pretty good, right? You get a little clear and a taunt.
It's a free Hellfire once you have the location down.
Yeah.
Which is not nothing.
So, cool.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. Classes. Starting with Demon Hunter. We had already seen Irida Sunseeker and talked about her last time. She was the Rule Breaker with 4 mana 7/5 Lifesteal Battlecry. Send your deck to the void at the start of your turns. Get 2 cards from the void. Just to have that for context here.
Yeah.
Some of the newer cards that were revealed sort of have to do with having a little bit of synergy with having an empty deck. Whether this will be worth it, again, we're not quite sure, but we have, for example, Cosmic Manifestations, which is a 2-mana shadow spell. Deal 2 damage, shuffle a random Demon Hunter spell into your deck, and outcast do it again. It does give you a little more value and stave off fatigue for a couple ticks. Hellraiser is a 3-mana 2/2. Battlecry, discover a card in your deck. If it's empty, gain +4/+4 instead. I do like that this one works in both cases, because I feel like a lot of these only kind of work after you've found Irida, or they're like draw that you don't want. Like you want draw before you find Irida, but then you definitely don't want draw after you find Irida, and that's like a weird anti-synergy in this deck. So I like that Hellraiser like does what you want it to do on both sides of that.
I mean, tracking on a stick is fine anyway, right? Like you just run that in a lot of like, this is the kind of card that I would like for them to be building, which are synergistic, but not all in on the synergy, right? Where you can
tracking
use
on a stick, you still want it to be like at cost, right? 3-mana 2/2 for tracking is rough.
It's worse than Portal Vanguard.
Yeah.
If you're just using it for tracking.
And if you're, well, that's also if you only want minions, right? This can get you anything out of your deck. Portal Vanguard is only minions.
True.
So, I don't know. It's useful there. You probably don't run this if you're not running Irida, but at least it's not a dead card if you haven't found her. And there might be other use cases where you might want to be doing something like this, or at least like just get the card draw if you don't. I mean, Demon Hunter's not really that hard up for card draw, but sometimes you just want tracking on a stick.
I also want to briefly note there's one more card here that's kind of an odd one for Demon Hunter, Captive Nathrazim. This is a common, not a legendary, even though it costs 10 mana. 10 mana, 6/2 demon.
6/12.
6/12.
6/12.
6/2 would be a lot worse.
It is a 10 mana, 6/12 demon with Prepare and Taunt. All minions cost 2 more. So your minions and their minions cost 2 more.
But like you can prepare on 4 to play this on 5. And that is a 5-mana 6/12 taunt that taxes your opponent's minions. Like that is just a brick wall.
Yeah. And like current no minion Demon Hunter. I mean, I guess you wouldn't run this in no minion Demon Hunter, but like
You discover it from the location.
yeah, you could get it from the location, and that is relevant, right? Because that deck is slow to get going. Once it gets going, it's going, right? But sometimes it needs a little bit of time, and you do need a wall to kind of help you catch up. And this sure is a wall, because unless your opponent has a kill spell, which if they're playing an aggressive minion deck, they're probably not running hard removal, so they need the minions to go through it. But the minions are going to cost more to be able to play to get through it. So it's going to slow them down significantly, possibly for multiple turns. And you're fine if you're not playing minions in that deck anyway, because you're just playing whatever you discovered. So this could be really interesting, at least off of the Hold or Solitude, if nothing else.
We have JT Snow in the chat, who's a Demon Hunter enjoyer in the community, saying to conjure us into this seems fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a reminder that is a card that exists that can also get you this out more quickly. I just want to note also, Wicked organized our show notes for this. Thank you very much in listing all the cards with some entertaining category names. So this was Deck Empty, Head Hopefully Not Empty. Next we have Do You Believe in Miracles for Rogue. And Edel, do you wanna take the reins on this one?
I do believe in miracles. I don't believe in Aya. A quick note on some of these in general. I feel like they could have gone harder on making things start of game effects. Irida, if that was a start of game effect, would that be so? I don't know. I guess
that's a little dicier, I think, because then you have 3 or 4 cards to work with for the whole game. That maybe not so much.
Fatiguing.
Yeah.
I mean, so give and take on that one. In the case of the rogue one, that you talked about last week, you always go second, which when presently that is a horrible, horrible thing to do to yourself. To give you a coin that is not upgraded until you pay for a 6 mana 6/3 to upgrade your coins. Like unless for this deck specifically, the guaranteed getting a coin and being on coin actually helps the Miracle deck, regardless of upgrades. I don't think ISCs play because it's so long to get that upgrade that it may as well not matter. But anyway.
I mean, half the time you're just not going to draw her. She's going to be in the bottom half of the deck, and you're going to be real sad.
Right. Yeah. So I don't understand why that one they didn't just maybe not have the coins be upgraded from start of the game, but just like I always starts in your hand or something. I feel like because I want some way to actually be able to use those upgraded coins. And as it is, you're just going to be doing this other stuff, which is you've got Lotus Bookie is a 2 mana 2/2 Death Rattle, get a coin, fine. Black Paws Whip, 3 mana 3/2 weapon that costs 1 less for each coin you're holding. With Death Rattle, draw a card. We'll have to see what density you can get, like how reliably you can make that cost 0 or 1. I think the big deal there is that people are going to have to be very careful and make sure that they start with playing the weapon on their miracle turn and not with playing their coins.
So I guess this is a benefit to playing Aya, right? That you start with a coin,
Yes.
and then this is a 2 mana 3/2 weapon.
Right. But like that guaranteed starting with the coin needs to break needs to make rogue an irregularity in terms of being on the coin being good, right? Which it historically has, but and maybe that will be even more so here. But right now being on the coin is like you're at a disadvantage. So yeah, it certainly helps with Black Paws Whip if you're like, okay, you're starting with a coin, so you can play it for 2. And then maybe you play the bookie or something else, or maybe like you get 2 coins from the going second rather than you get the 2 coins from when you play her. Anyway. And then here's the big one. Defias Wannabe, 4 mana 2/2 prepare. So you prepare on 3 to make it free on 4. Combo, gain +1/+1 for each other card played this turn.
Welcome back, Edwin, but not legendary.
I mean, mini, right? Edwin was +2/+2, right? That's why he got so huge.
Yeah. Oh, so it's like, what is that? Bite weed?
Yeah.
Is that the
right?
That's why he's a Defias wannabe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He wants to be.
Yeah. So Biteweed never happened. I think because we had real Edwin and it's had a mana cost, right? It was a 2 mana 1/1. This one, I feel like they're giving it another shot because it's like, well, you can prepare and then it costs 0, right? Does that work? I want to find out. And then Picklock is very interesting. It is a 1 mana 1/1. All numbers on this card equal your remaining mana. And I feel like that could go in the Miracle deck, could just go in something completely different. Like, so you can play it on turn 2 to deal 2 to an enemy minion. Play it on turn 3 to be an SI7, right, on an enemy minion. It just feels like very flexible removal / make a, average statted thing. At worst, you pay 1 for 1 mana 1/1. Like for an Elven Archer, I guess that can't go face, but for your pings, I don't know. It just feels like it may have a home because it's flexible. But then the most exciting / disappointing is Slice and Dice, which is a 5 mana spell. Replay all other cards played this turn, targeting enemies if possible. End your turn, which is the big, oh, darn.
We finally got time stop in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I understand why that text is there, because if you were replaying all your coins and preps, you would keep going, and it's probably for some kind of way that you couldn't like chain slice and dices, right? So you can't, because we've got Shadow of Demise in right now, which becomes a copy of a different spell. But they could also have done that by like once per game replay all of the cards, right? Like they've done that on Time Warp, so that you can't do it multiple times.
There are still things that you can do other than replaying this that are problematic if you, because like presumably you're drawing more cards after that, you're playing coins, so there's like, you could also build up a pretty big board after this with all the mana you've generated and cards you've drawn off of this.
I just don't think that's as problematic. But
problematic enough.
This lets them let you go really ham on the coins. If they didn't have end the turn, they'd have to really restrict how many coins you can get.
But they didn't go really ham on the coins.
Well, not yet. We haven't seen the rest of the cards.
Oh yeah, okay, that's true. All right, if there's a couple more, then okay, I'm willing to give you that, right? Like if there's truly a lot of coins, then sure, because yeah, again, like if you could keep going, then the fact that you replay all the coins in your prep, you could get excessive. But even outside all that, having lots of ways of generating all this mana, I don't know, I just think of Chrono Daggers again, right? And because it's all other cards, if you do something like play the prepared spell damage minion, was it Kobold Geomancer or something, for 0, and then
Tunneling Geomancer,
that one, then you prep daggers, right? Or do whatever you need to do to play the daggers and then still have mana for slice and dice, you will get another Geomancer for more spell damage in addition to playing the daggers again. Now, I don't know how ordering works, if it will like replay them in the same order that you played them, but I definitely feel like Rogue will have something silly at some point to do with this card.
Yeah. Well, also, theoretically, if you were somehow able to get 2 copies of this, or I guess with Shadow of Demise, you probably would just go infinite.
Well,
right?
No, because if you play it, you could play it with Shadow of Demise the next turn, but there'd be no point.
No. I'm saying if they didn't have end the turn on it.
Right, but that's why I was saying
yeah.
like they could have made it once per game, right? And there are ways they could have done it where outside of just end of the turn, where they could still prevent you from playing another one.
I'm fine with Rogue actually having to be somewhat fair once in a while.
It has been for a while.
Not fair enough. It needs to be more fair.
It seems to be doing pretty well right now. All right. So, Shaman, we've got kind of 2 sides. So, as a reminder, the legendary for Shaman that we had seen last time is Mug Z. That says, start of game, if your deck has no other minions, you get Mug's hero power. Mug's hero power says your first minion each turn costs 2 less. And last time we were like, but what minions, though? If you're playing all spells except for Mug, then, like, what you doing? Well, there's some cards in this set for that. Or, if you have no spells, then you get Z's Might. Every 5th minion you play triggers its battle cry twice. By the way, we did see from the reveal video, there have been some pretty fun reveal videos on Twitch or on YouTube is the easier place to rewatch them, that had the devs, and we did get a confirmation that you can, theoretically, in Wild, build a deck that has no minions or spells, and only like locations and weapons and things. And in that case, you will get both hero powers.
Well, that's awesome.
Good luck.
I do appreciate the commitment to the bit, and you know what? They might as well, because that sounds terrible, but I am glad they're going to let people play with it. However, I think this Mugsy then gives you 2 different ways that you can build this deck, and both of them got some support in this set. So starting with the Mug's Magic, where you have no other minions, but your first minion each turn costs 2 less. One way that we have to just get minions is a new location. 1 mana, 3 durability, low security wing get a random Shaman minion. It's locked in your hand until you play another card. This could actually work with both, because the Battlecry minion side also wants to just have a lot of minions. Now, you're not guaranteed to have it be cheap.
Yeah.
It could be anything, but it'll be cheaper, whatever it is, if you have the Mug's hero power, right? If you don't have minions. So it does give you some fodder for minions for either side. We also have probably more interestingly for the spell deck side, there are 3 spells that can transform into minions. So, for example, Molten Gold is a 3-mana fire spell that says deal 4 damage, which is not great, but if you cast 3 spells, then it will turn into a minion. So I say, like, while you're holding it, if you cast 3 spells, it will turn into a 3-mana 3/3 with Battlecry, deal 4 damage, which is significantly better, especially if it actually is a 1-mana 3/3 Battlecry, deal 4 damage, because you have that passive Mug's hero power from the start of the game. Similarly, there's the same thing, Frost Shatter, 5-mana Frost spell, freeze an enemy, draw 2 cards, cast 3 spells, that becomes a 5-mana 5/5 with Battlecry, freeze an enemy, draw 2 cards, or it might be a 3-mana 5/5 with Battlecry, freeze an enemy, draw 2 cards. And we have Storm Fury, which is a 7-mana nature spell. Lifesteal, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. If you cast 3 spells, it becomes a 7-mana 7/7. Lifesteal, Battlecry, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions.
That one I feel like could have used a number adjustment. I feel like 2 damage is tough.
Well, I think, what's weird about this, right, is that you want spell damage with this, but if it turns into a minion, you don't get spell damage anymore.
But if it turns into a minion, you get a body with lifesteal.
Yes. I think it still should be 3.
Yeah.
It is quite a bit of healing. If it's 3, it's just a Reno. Maybe that's fine.
So it's max 14 heal, which is, again, I mean, that's not nothing, but it's not like we had, is it Tidal Wave? Was that the one that was like 8 mana, deal damage to the board with lifesteal?
Yeah, it was deal 3 damage to all minions with lifesteal. And maybe I'm being too critical, but yeah, the big problem with that was, like, the lifesteal was great. It was a bad amount of damage for a clear at 8 mana, so it was very specific. Now, yes, as you say, if this is a minion, maybe it's a little more forgiving because you get the minion with lifesteal afterwards.
I mean, you have that dragon, though, that's like a 4/12 taunt that does 2 damage to the board, and that's not good.
For 8.
For 8, yeah. So that's worse, yeah. But it's not good enough to play, right? Because, like, that's the kind of thing that's the equivalent. Like, yeah, this is going to heal you. That is relevant. I'm not saying it's not.
And it's not going to cost 7, it's going to cost 5.
Yeah, that I think is the biggest argument. Although at that point it feels like, well, this card exists specifically for that deck and only that deck, because at 7 mana it feels pretty rough.
It's going to cost 5 if you don't top deck it.
Sure.
Right? Because it's only 5 once it turns into a minion. If you top deck it, you still need to play the other spells to get it to cost 5. That is an important distinction. This is not always going to cost 5 with Mugsy. It's going to cost 5 if you've had it in your hand long enough. And, like, 3 spells can take a while. We've had cast 3 spells in spell-heavy decks and Priest before. I could count on one hand the number of times that those activated. I mean, again, if your deck is oops all spells, it will be more often, for sure. But it's still
the cast 3 spells that we have in Standard right now have not seen play because we haven't had spell-heavy priests with cheap spells.
Sure.
We just haven't had a density of cheap spells to play with them. Something like Handmaiden in Naga Priest absolutely saw play, and it's seeing play in Wild right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not necessarily saying this card is good particularly, because 2 damage is not a lot of damage, and 7 mana is a lot of mana. But I'm saying that casting 3 spells. Yes, like with the Handmaiden in Naga Priest, it could get annoying. That was mostly because you had to draw your wigs, because those were your main spells, and then they were repeatable. So if you had a wig, it was no problem. And if you didn't have a wig, then you were stuck. But that was that deck in a nutshell anyway.
Yeah.
I think if we can build this, the question is like, are there enough cheap spells that we can do this? But if we have a lot of cheap spells, and this is not your only thing, you have other things that transform, right? If we have enough cheap spells and enough draw, then I think the cast 3 spells is not a terrible thing. We might only just be doing the Frost Shatter and Molten Gold, though. I'm not sure about the Storm Fury. The other two seem a lot better to me.
The bigger question is like, you're going through all this work to build your deck with no minions in it to get 6 cards that just turn into bodies to get a little bit cheaper, right? Like that, it feels like there ought to be more of those than just 3 that you can run 2 copies of. That's kind of, it doesn't feel like it's enough of a payoff there.
Or like be able to discover them more or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like you're going to have a lot of spells in whatever. If you're discovering spells, you're going to have more cards in that pool. I don't know. It's a lot. You're also putting a 6 mana 6/7 in your deck. And
well, it's a 4 mana 6/7.
Okay, fine. It's still a vanilla 6/7, right? It's bad enough it makes me want to do the meme reflexively just by talking about it. That's how bad it is. But anyway, so you're putting a vanilla 6/7 in your deck, and you're putting a whole bunch of spells in your deck, and you're only the payoff is you get 6 of these that turn into cheaper minions with those abilities, to be fair, but they're just vanilla minions, or they're minions with a battle cry. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's better than I'm giving it credit for. It feels hard to justify the juice being worth the squeeze here.
And this is all the Shaman cards, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we have 10, so that's going to be the whole set.
This could also be something where we need a 6-set meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
Or if they print more support for this sort of thing. Like if this was more of like an evergreen, mechanic that they're going to print more of these, like, then it would make a little bit more sense. It's just, it's hard to get excited about. That's all that. I mean, these are powerful effects. Don't get me wrong, especially when you're discounting them by 2. But those discounts are on those 6 cards, and that's it. And Muggsy himself, and that's it. I mean, I guess you get them off of the low security wing also. If you have other ways that you can generate minions, that aren't on minions, then maybe we're talking about something.
The problem is a lot of spells in Shaman, I'm just looking at Shaman right now, a lot of spells in Shaman kind of want you to have other minions. Like they draw minions or deal damage to a friendly minion to,
Yeah.
Blazing Invocation discovers you a Battlecry minion. Mountain Map discovers you a minion with a type you haven't played yet.
You got that one that gives you the 2 sparks in your hand, right? The imbue card, the Herald card. I mean, you're not running Herald in this deck,
but you probably run that anyway.
You might run that anyway just to get the sparks.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough spells right now in Shaman to make this worth it, but it is also something that we might want to keep an eye on for future support. However, something that I think people are definitely already theory crafting about is the other side, Z. Every 5th minion you play triggers its battle cry twice. So we have, for example, Galagio Goon is a 1 mana 1/3 elemental. After you play a battle cry minion, give it +1/+1. And that also just is a cheap minion. We have Hijacked Security Bot is a 3/3 elemental mech for 4 mana, but it has Prepare. And it says Battlecry, give your other minions +1/+1. So I kind of like that because you can get it and your board making on the same turn.
Yeah. And you can always play that when you have the 5th one, when you have the 5th tick, or to set up the 5th tick. Right? It makes it easier to get to 5.
Yeah.
The fact that they're both elementals as well, I am envisioning this all minions deck as an elemental deck, and I think would have a real shot because Lots of elementals of battle cries. That's great for Galagio Goon. Being able to, like, you never wanted to hero power, right? in a lot of shaman decks, you really never want to hero power, but in particular, in something like an elemental deck where you really want all this synergy. So having that just, hey, if I plot this out correctly, as I'm just doing my thing of playing minions, sometimes I will play the one that summons 2 cinders and then like triggers their death rattle. One part of that is a kindred, but I feel like the other part is a battle cry. I think, yeah, the kindred is the trigger their death rattle. So like,
Yeah.
you can double the battle cry to get 2 more cinders, and then the kindred you're gonna have if you're playing elementals, and trigger the death rattles. That was something where, like, when you pulled that off, it always felt powerful, and the fact that you can now kind of do this finagling of, okay, let's make it so that that's my 5th battle cry to like really pump this up. There's another one that's like deal 2 damage to 2 random enemy minions, kindred freeze them. That would be great to get doubled. Like there's a lot that I think it could work with, and like maybe we have a real competitive elemental shaman. That'd be cool.
Or you might be able to run it as a quest deck.
But why?
Well, why not?
Because the quest reward is garbage unless you shutter block it, and the shutter block is gone.
Well, but if you're doubling your battle cries,
but you're giving up turn 1. Yeah.
Listen.
Also, you can't. You literally cannot. Because it's a spell.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Okay, then cool. Good talk. Okay, cool.
Moving on.
So, but the other side could be a quest deck, except that you're not running any minions, so,
yeah.
enjoy that.
Coolest card, though. Disguised Detective.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a 1 mana 4/3 that can be played on either side. Overload that player for 2.
This might be the best shaman card.
This can really, really mess with your opponent, right? Or if you're just playing for tempo. And there are cards in Shaman that mostly only Edel has been experimenting with, but there are cards in Shaman that work well with Overload, and this is great for that. So, for example, there is Haywire Hornswogg, a 6-mana... This is an older card, but you may not remember it, so I'm going to read it again. It is a 6-mana 4/6 elusive taunt that costs 1 less for each mana crystal you've overloaded this game. So you could play the Disguised on 1 and then have the Haywire Hornswogg cost 4. That you could even like coin out on 3 or something. Another Overload card is that Winged Aberration that we've talked about before. 4 mana 4/4 Dragon Rush combo, Overload for 2 to gain immune this turn and Wind Fury.
Mm-hmm.
If we have some Overload synergy, like that is just a good card. I have played some with it, and I'm surprised it hasn't seen more play elsewhere. Played with it because of Edel's recommendation.
You could, on turn 5, play Disguised Detective on their side to overload them so they can't do a board clear, and then clear it with your 4/4 Rush Immune Wind Fury. Yeah. I feel like the Hornswogg is good, but there just have not been enough worthwhile Overload cards. Like, we haven't had an Overload deck. And oddly enough, I feel like Disguised Detective, if it doesn't push it over the edge yet, maybe like the next good Overload card that comes out will, because we've got a few things going on there that I think you can work your way towards a solid, just like aggro Overload shaman of some variety. We've got Novice Zapper in core as well, right? Just the 1 mana 3/2 spell damage +1 Overload 1. So
yeah, I think there could be something there, and that would be a little bit different. Ceremonial Clash, summon a random 3/2 and 1 cost minion, Overload 1. That's one that sometimes people have been, that can be run with the minion that you absorb a spell in your hand.
Is the Build-A-Board card with Overlord still in Standard? Wasn't there one that like summons 3 minions or summons like 12 mana worth of minions or something like that?
Oh, instant multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know if you do that, but yeah.
All right. So
Tiny Pal. There's a Shaman legendary weapon that looks pretty cool. You can choose different ammunitions every time you swing, so you can choose to get a cool effect, either freeze stuff, deal the damage to all enemies, get a random 3-cost minion, give it taunt, or sorry, summon a random 3-cost minion, give it taunt, or get a random battle cry minion. It costs 2 less. They all seem very efficient. I'm sure this will be played.
Yeah. And you have to choose another one after you swing, so you don't get the same thing twice in a row.
Yes, you have to choose ahead of when you're going to do it. So it's only the first one, I guess, that that's the battle cry, where you can kind of like choose it based on what you need exactly in that moment.
This is kind of like, I think this is like Aphelios in Legends of Runeterra, if I remember correctly. Maybe it feels like that was something that you were doing.
I'm not going to know that.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks like it's really strong, especially defensively. All of them except for the random battlecry minion are like strong defensive options. So you're probably going to have something that works for this situation, and it's very flexible.
And it's not random.
That's very important.
Can you choose? Do you have to swap through all the options, or do you each time say, nope, I want freeze again?
You can do the first one again on the third swing. That makes sense?
So you have to choose to a different one. Okay.
Yeah, it'll give you 4 choices on the first one, and then it'll give you 3 choices on each subsequent one, and the whatever it is currently will be removed from the 3 choices.
Okay.
So, I also just have to point out really quickly for Shaman, Wicked had labeled them "Learn to Spell" and "Or Don't, I'm Not Your Dad." So for Warlock, we have first, not bad, just overdrawn that way. There's kind of a handlock theme going on for Warlock. As a reminder, actually, I don't think this was out last time.
No, it wasn't, because they revealed Godfrey on the day after we recorded.
So Godfrey the Betrayer is a 4-mana 5/4 undead legendary for Warlock that says, start of game, overdrawn cards return to your hand when you have space, and they cost 1 less.
Amazing. This is a real rule breaker. I can get behind. Start of game, so you're gonna get to do it, and you can really build around. It also means that you have to rat the Rafam. You can't burn them.
Right.
So look, it's still a very ratable deck, but that's very much a point in favor of Rafam being able to overdraw them and not worry about it.
Yeah, I think this is just really cool to add that, like, handlock or any sort of deck that has to worry about its hand size, adding this like, but you, special person, do not have to worry about your hand size anymore is just really cool. You can never burn cards. It might take a while till they get added back in your hand. I believe I saw that they are added back in a random order. So
okay.
That's probably good, because the mental overhead like would so favor people with trackers, right, to a point that's like maybe not healthy.
It's still going to benefit you, because you're going to know what is possible to get added, right? You're just not going to know exactly what's going to happen in that order, but you know what the pool of cards that you can add is.
It's still helpful, but not like out of the realm of other things that tracker is helpful with, I think.
Am I most excited for Warlock? I might be most excited for Warlock because this feels like very, very new and different.
Yeah.
I mean,
not to foreshadow anything, but this is the kind of thing that got me really excited, and then I saw Priest and I was sad. But anyway, we will get there when we get there.
Indeed. Unseen Atlas is the big activator here. If you recall, Table Flip was a 10 mana, deal 3 to all enemy minions, reduces for each card in your hand, AoE. This is that, except it's 10 mana, draw 3 cards, costs 1 less for each card in your hand. Outside, zero context, that sounds awful, because it's cheapest when you don't have hand space for the cards. But with Godfrey, it just rewards you for staying topped up on cards, so you just like burn 3 cards off the top of your deck for free. to add to the Godfrey pool.
And then they're all discounted when you do get them back.
Yeah.
This might be a Rafam deck just so that you don't fatigue out. Like, having the extra 10 cards might actually be a feature instead of a bug in a deck like this.
I mean, also, like, I think the Rafam cards are good to play. You don't want it to be the only thing you're doing because it's so vulnerable to Dirty Rat and so slow. But like this gives you other stuff to do and makes you not have to worry about like, oh no, my Rafam burned. What am I gonna do? Spire of Solitude, 5 mana, 2 durability location. Summon a demon with stats equal to your hand size. It attacks a random enemy minion. Not quite as good as the one where, first off, it was like 4 mana or whatever. That summoned a rush, right? So you could pick where it went. But still pretty solid, right? And this is going to be 10 a lot of times because you can just keep a full hand, right? Like you can actually get to 10 in ways that you previously wouldn't for stuff because you didn't want to burn.
Yeah, that's a great point in that you're, playing Priest today. In the mirror against Priest, I was just playing cards out sort of randomly because I needed to end the turn with 9 cards in hand. Right? And I had been doing things like to try to steal cards from their deck and then realized I had 10 cards in my hand and I had to do something. Or like imbuing and then just not playing the thing because it was going to add another card back into my hand. Like both options were. And so that I just imbued and then did nothing. Yeah. So yeah, you can't stay at 10 cards most of the time in most decks unless you have Godfrey.
One thing that I just thought of that I should have thought of long before the podcast. How does this interact with Twilight Mistress? Does it still kill anything that doesn't fit in hand, or are those counted? Those aren't counted as overdrawn at that point, right?
I don't think so. I would think Twilight Mistress still kills it, but that's a good question.
Which one?
Because they're not burned; they just don't go back in your hand.
Yeah,
and just die on the board.
Anything, because like when you Twilight Mistress, anything that doesn't fit in your hand dies, and Death Rattles trigger.
Right.
I don't think that counts. That's overdrawn.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, obviously, anything you draw after that would get overdrawn, but like those that don't fit in the hand when you're sending them back.
Yeah, that does mean that Twilight Mistress never bounces stuff to your hand, which is fine, probably. I think probably ultimately a good thing. I mean, just the fact that, yeah, like you can just keep this hand of 10 cards, Cage, Cranium, 3 mana, 3/1, Taunt, Battle Cry, gain +1 health for each card in your hand. Like, you're just going to be sitting on 10 cards, assuming you don't die getting to 10 cards. You can spend a lot of your time just sitting on 10 cards because every time you've got a vacancy, another one pops into your hand from this void
Once you get to
space.
10 cards, you never leave 10 cards, basically. Like, because you're just always going to have stuff coming into your hand.
Yeah.
That's making me look at what... I mean, you're definitely running, like, every bit of draw. Maybe we're heralding Cho'Gall just to draw cards with Shrine of Twilight. I don't know. Rafam Ladder, the Rotheart Dryad. I mean, there's neutral draw, right? I mean, you could just run Prize Vendor and be like...
Yeah, you're almost certainly running Prize Vendor. That's happening. That's just happening all the time, I think.
So, another thing that you can do, especially if you have like a big deck here, maybe we're just kind of throwing all the win conditions in one deck. I don't know. But there's also some synergy with demons, and specifically like big demons. We already had something like Animancer in Standard. And we talked about that when we talked about Morog last week, who, as a reminder, is a 10 mana 6/6 demon with Prepare, and Death Rattle summon a random demon from your deck that then gains Death Rattle summon Morog. So it turns into a cycle. So we have some ways to get like an extra demon, or specifically Imp Gang Stooge is a 3 mana 2/5 demon with Taunt and Death Rattle. Put a 9/9 demon with Taunt and Lifesteal on the bottom of your deck. Bottom of your deck's not that useful unless you have Morog. You could also get it out with a new card, Annihilation, which is a 9 mana destroy all minions, but it also will summon any demons in the bottom 3 cards of your deck.
I think there's a real opportunity for a like Demons Recruit deck, right? You've got Void Lord is in core right now. What, do we also have Enhanced Dreadlord? I forget. Or maybe that one
we
went
definitely
away.
have Doomsayer.
No, we do have Doomsayer. I
What?
don't think we have
No,
Dreadlord.
you mean Doomguard?
Doomguard,
Doomguard,
sorry,
yes.
my bad. Yeah, Doomsayer would be
Very-
much worse.
very
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, at any rate, I think there's decent stuff there, right? And Morag being able to, I mean, one, it's 10. If you're really going for it, you could tail in for this, and the fact that you could like tail in for it, prepare, throw it out there, and it just keeps this chain going of, you know, unless they transform or silence, you're just gonna keep summoning demons and then summoning Morag and then summoning demons. And we've got the card that's a 2-mana 2/3. Choose a card in your hand, shuffle it back into your deck, so that you can like not as much have to worry about, oh, I drew the thing that I need to recruit. So yeah, I think there's possibility there.
Yeah. We do have Morarch Forge Fiend is also in standard still.
Right. Yep.
Scorching Observer, I don't know, which is the 9-mana 7/9 Rush Lifesteal. I don't know if that's something that we're doing, but that's also a big thing that you might want to summon.
Yeah.
It's less good if there are no minions for it to rush into, but sometimes there are death rattles that leave bodies behind. So,
And then we have another card that kind of synergizes with demons, but I could see it seeing play in some other decks as well. Demonic Confinement, 2 mana, make a minion go dormant for 2 turns. If it's a friendly demon, give it +3/+3 instead.
It's a weird one.
I mean, it's red card, but more expensive. But also, if you're playing demons, it can also go face.
Well,
Sort of.
yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, if you manage to Doomguard and not discard this, yeah, I think Rare had mentioned, like, yeah, you can Doomguard, hit you for 5, but then Confinement to make you go dormant, and it'll hit even harder next time.
Well, the Doomguard's not going to go dormant. The Doomguard's going to dome them for 8.
Right, because it's instead of going dormant, it gets +3/+3.
Ah, I see. Oh.
Yeah.
Well then. Ah, okay.
So it's a red card if you need it, but it's also, hey, I want my Doomguard to hit you harder.
Okay. All right. I'm actually much higher on this then. Yeah, because then it's just you run it in an aggressive demons list, and like sometimes you use it as a buff and sometimes you use it as a red card. Yeah, that seems great. In my head it was like it goes dormant and then wakes up with +3/+3. Yeah. Okay.
Also, very important, the flavor text is, if he fits, he sits.
Okay.
Yes, and it's a very happy looking little red demon that has found a little place to fits and sits. All right.
Goals. Yeah.
#goals. I did want to just mention Ancient Augur really fast because this card is going to make people mad. It's a 4-mana 2/6 with Battlecry. Look at 3 cards in your opponent's hand and secretly choose one. Death Rattle, discard it. They have no indication, except for mind games, of which cards you saw, let alone which one you choose. So they have this weird, like, do I kill the thing? What am I trying to play before I kill the thing?
Yeah.
But also it's got 6 butt, which is a
Yeah.
lot of butt for a death rattle. So.
It is. Yeah. Unless you eat it with Cho'Gall soldiers.
Oh God, yeah. You're gonna
Yeah.
eat it. This goes in Cho'Gall, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you location
Sure does.
and then you just eat it immediately. Yeah.
That looks less
Okay.
tasty than eggs, but sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we only have so much time. we are moving on to Priest. I'm just going to preempt, because I feel like we could talk about this for a long time. So we will talk about it. However, so in Priest, we should probably start with the headliner, one way or another. The rule breaker, at any rate. Azalina Soul Sever is a 7-mana 7/7 undead. She says your deck is 20 cards plus 20 copied from your enemy. Battle cry, draw until your hand is full. So before we talk about this, I just want to clarify how this works. when you put her in your deck, it's like when you put Renathal in your deck, except she makes your deck 20 instead of making your deck 40. So like in deck building, your deck is 20. By the way, if you're in Wild, you cannot put her and Renathal in the deck at the same time. Nice try. You can only, if you have more than one card that alter your starting deck size, they only go together if they alter it to the same amount. So if there were another card that also made it 20 at some point in the future, you could play them together if you wanted to for some reason. So anyway, let's say that you're playing with Azalina. You've made a 20 card deck. You queue into a game. You get those 20 cards from your opponent before the mulligan. So it happens before any start of game effects. You can see them in your mulligan. That is kind of like a very small niche benefit in that you, if it's a class that has multiple archetypes,
Yeah.
you might be able to tell what archetype they are in the mulligan. This will also then, any start of game effects that they have are going to go off for you. So if you steal their Hogger,
Yeah.
then you duplicate all of your legendaries as well.
That's very silly.
They did say that they raised the Mac deck size to 99 for this expansion. So,
I wondered about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of edge cases. If they have Dragon Soul Shattered, and you happen to copy that, right? You have a 2/3 chance to copy any particular card, then you will get it, and then it will shatter for you.
So you won't get like random soul shatters. You'll get all 6 of them in that case because it's one card in your deck that starts with. But if they have a fabled minion, those are 3 in deck building.
Yeah.
So you could end up getting Broxigar but no portal.
Well,
Well, Broxigar disappears himself at the start of the game. Oh, and then yeah, you'd have no portals to get him back.
You could have no portals to get it back. That is a thing that absolutely can happen, right? So,
I mean, that wouldn't be the worst thing. Just
Just one less card in your deck.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of sort of thief priest support here. We'll talk through all of this, and then I promise I will give you a chance. Wicked.
I'll keep my rant short.
So Minesweeper is a 2-mana 2/3 with Battlecry. If you played a copy of an opponent's card while holding this, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. I will note that any cards that you copied from your opponent have like a neat little like purpley swirly effect on them, so you know it was theirs, which is useful if there's neutrals, or heaven forbid you have a mirror of this.
And that's all the time now, right? Because the problem with the last incarnation of Thief Priest is they would do that, but only when you were like playing a card that cared about stuff that you copy from your opponents, which made it really hard to track.
It is all the time, according
Okay.
to what I saw in the dev video.
Okay.
So we also have Enthralled Shade, 3-mana 4/3 undead. Death Rattle, reduce the cost of cards in your hand that were copied from your opponent by 1. So you will know which ones that's going to be, but it is only in your hand. And then we have Unshackle Soul, 5-mana shadow spell. Destroy a minion. If you played a copy of an opponent's card while holding this, this costs 1. I mean, we do go to a lot of effort to have a 1-mana Medivh's Triumph.
Yeah, I mean, 1 mana kill a thing is good. And if you're doing this, then you're going to probably have played a copy of an opponent's card. Oh, by the way, Togwaggle will not work with this because it's not copying the cards. It's just stealing them. So there is the 3-mana draw spell. I'm forgetting the name of it in Priest that copies 1 card from... No, I'm not even going to try to remember it. That copies 1 card from your deck and 1 copy from your opponent's deck. That would count for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minesweeper is the big payoff to me. Unshackle Soul, a close second. Enthralled Shade.
It's only in hand.
Yeah, I don't even know if you play it since you're limited to 20.
Yeah.
Like, mana reduction's good, but it doesn't reduce your cards, right? It's just, and you could end up with hands where it's much more heavily your stuff than their stuff. So now I do think that Minesweeper is very, very good.
Yes,
for
is.
this deck, right? I don't know that you can run Minesweeper and Unshackle Soul without running Azalina,
No, I
which
don't
is
think you
interesting.
can. I mean, that's the problem I have with this, right? Is that like this is again going hard into packages, right? Where
Yeah.
there's probably a way to do this. And I'll talk about this a little bit more and when we get to Warrior. There might be a way to do this that makes it a little bit less all in, but it's just like, how do you win the game, right? Like that's I think the problem that you have, because you're stealing half of 2/3 of an opponent's deck. You're not guaranteed to get the good part, right? Like we just talked about the Fabled thing. Like you could just get Broxigar with no portal or Garona with no King Lane, right? It's also, I mean, we had our group chat. I had a cathartic thing that I'm not going to go into about how this isn't really as rule breaking as the other ones, just because like we've had Arch Thief or Arch Priest Benedictus, which effectively, I mean, it was a battle cry. It shuffled their deck into your deck, or a copy of their deck into your deck. So we've had things like this before that are not quite as rule breaky as, say, oh, your overdrawn cards come back to you, or you get 2 copies of legendaries that are really unique effects, and this doesn't feel like it. But it's also like you're playing it. This is forcing you to play a 40 card deck. There's unless you're running Enthralled Shade, which you probably don't have room to run, because you need to have some cards that are going to be giving you some sort of a way to actually win the game, regardless of what your opponents do, right? Then there's no real benefit aside from these couple cards that care about it. And we're going back to, well, Priest doesn't get enough good cards, so we're going to give it the opponent's cards and see if it can figure that out. Now, some people really like that, right? And I'm not saying that they're wrong. It's a lot of this preset to dedicate to this, that it kind of forces you into that archetype, and it forces you into like the Renathal problem of, I want to play control, which this is clearly putting you in a position where you want to be playing control because you don't know what your opponent's going to be doing. So, and the cards that they gave that work with it are control cards. But now I have to play a 40 card deck where I'm much less likely to get the answers that I need to be able to answer what my opponent's doing. So I can't really build a control deck around this.
I have 2 small devil's advocate points. So first of all, I think it's hard to know what this card is going to feel like ahead of time.
Yeah.
I will say, in terms of package, yes, these 4 cards really closely go together, but because Azalina is sort of a pre-start of game effect, in essence, you don't need to print any other steal something from your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't that, you'd have to make the entire 10 cards about it instead of 4.
Yeah. But this is a commander deck, right? Like this is like, I've talked about this.
But you always have your commander. So that is a little different.
It is a little bit better in that you actually do have your commander the whole time, but it is very much a commander deck, a commander style deck, where you have to do this, and then you pretty much have to put in the things that work around it. And I mean, at least you can have your commander removed in this case. That's something. But
so
yeah, I mean, I see what you mean on that. I just think that this package is actually less egregious on that than some others.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about this more when we get to Warrior, because I feel like it's more egregious with Warrior than it is here. But yeah.
But I also think, like, so let's say that you are playing a sort of more control-y priest, and maybe, again, we still have a few cards to look at. Maybe we're doing like the heal as damage thing. We do have like a new damage spell we'll talk about in a second, right? We have some things that can help us win the game. Maybe we have imbues, so we have extra stuff to do if they're not having stuff. But if we're playing control, if they're an aggro deck, we have some aggro cards. That's not terrible for facing against an aggro deck, having your own low to the ground cards. You know what I mean? Like, you're less likely to draw your clears, but you are likely to draw some board contesting. You're probably not going to win the aggro thing against them because only half your deck is that. But having aggro decks versus aggro is not terrible. And then if you're facing another control deck, or just a sort of value-based deck in general, then presumably you got value-based cards. It's worst against something that's combo or extremely synergistic,
Yeah.
I think.
Like a Murloc deck, like the Murloc quest deck, right? That would be
Or maybe
bad.
like the Warlock big demon deck. Although that might have enough that it's okay. Because,
Yeah.
you do get 20 cards. That's a lot for synergy,
Yeah.
but only half the cards you're drawing are part of the package.
Yeah.
So I think that's the bigger limitation.
But like if you go up against a quest deck and you don't get the quest in your 20 cards, you are going to be so sad. Like so incredibly sad, right?
I'm not sure that's entirely true, because my read is like you are taking this middle, except that your goal, I do think you want to go control and you want to go imbue, but I think you can do this weird control approach where it's like, yeah, as you were saying, Gesa, well, you mulligan for the best of you now know from the mulligan exactly what they are, what they're doing. You can go, okay, well, I'm playing against this aggressive deck. I wouldn't normally have these early drops, but I'm in a mulligan for these early drops. Imbue can fill things out when you hit that, and it, because you are in that control position, you go like, all right, well, I've got a copy. Now my Minesweeper's on. My Unshackled Soul is on. I do feel like you would have wanted one more thing rather than Enthralled Shade, but I think there's real possibility that you, because Priest is the one with its imbue, right? You might not need as much of a win condition because you will match the pace of your opponent. And so, yes, unless they're playing something full combo or maximally synergistic, you'll still be positioned sort of okay. Like playing this against a Herald Rogue, you'll be okay for value, right?
Yeah, I guess, but
and I think because so many things kind of are in that range right now, like they've intentionally not supported OTK decks. I think it might end up being better than it looks on face value. And look, I'm still prepared for it to be completely unplayable. But I'm just looking at some of this stuff. I kind of want to give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, because I feel like we can't fully grasp this until we've played with it and see sort of how it pans out against things.
I guess my counterpoint is this feels like Whizbang.
A little,
right?
yeah.
This feels like playing Whizbang on ladder, and we do not, again, I'm going to keep going back to my rant, we don't have anywhere else to bring these cards, right? And don't talk to me about Arena, because then you're talking about getting Azalina in your first pick, and that's the only time you can do that, right? So like there is nowhere else to bring these cards to play with them in a way that we're not playing Whizbang on ladder, and that's the frustration that I have with it. So yeah. But I mean, I'm keeping an open mind. I'm sure we'll try it in theory crafting. I can't imagine we're not going to try it in theory crafting.
Sure.
And we'll see how it goes, and maybe it'll be good. I think the other cards that were revealed, I'm much more excited about, because they do look like real control tools. Like we got Spectre of Despair, which is a 2-mana 2/6 taunt, which can't attack. It's an undead and a Draenei. We're getting more Draenei support, yay. But I mean, I like that's fine, right? Like 2-mana 2/6 taunt can't attack is great. Like maybe we get a silence holy, holy fire priest or whatever. Who cares? It's still a wall that they have to work through. So that's very good for a slow deck. Hold them off. 5-mana holy spell with prepare. Give a minion +5/+5 and lifesteal. Like, yeah. Like, if you can find a turn where you can have an extra 4 mana, or even not, right? Like, even if you're just discounting this for like 3, it's probably fine. But if you can get, and those two things go together too, right? Like, if you can get a Spectre of Despair down and turn it into a 7/11 lifesteal, you would love for it to be able to attack, but you don't need it to be, because it's going to take a lot of work for your opponent to get through.
There's also still the lifesteal minion that whenever you heal, it attacks that thing.
Oh, the Black Blood.
No.
Yeah.
The other one, the OTK one.
Yeah. So giving that +5/+5 in lifesteal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so they had mentioned the Colossal on the dev stream that when you heal, it attacks a random enemy minion. That thing does not have lifesteal, but if it had lifesteal, that's crazy. But you're right. Wilted Shadow is still in standard, and that has 6 attack right now. And,
we don't have bandages.
11 is greater than 6.
Right?
We don't have bandages.
The question is, does the buff to attack make up for the lack of cheap ways of healing the opponent?
Especially if we're giving up our hero power that can do it.
Why are you giving up your hero power that can do it?
Well, if you're imbuing, which you probably are.
Well, you wouldn't imbue in that deck because you'd be all in on the combo, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, if you're doing it as a combo deck, yeah.
But, I mean, there is the purifying thing, which you can use to kill something, and it heals their face, to get the that minion to attack. So,
or there's Holy Embrace, which is a 2-mana holy spell, which says restore 4 health, get a Dark Embrace that deals 4 damage, also for 2 mana. And hey, if you have the location that flips your healing till damage, that's just 8 damage that you have. So, which is also very good.
Yeah, that looks very good for that location. It also looks very good for Quest.
It does, because it's both Holy and Shadow in one card.
Yep.
Yep. I have been occasionally completing the quest today. I feel like maybe people are definitely going to experiment with Azalina, but hopefully for Steve's sake, we will also have, these cards could help the sort of control imbue priest we have now, which is almost
It's almost there.
Mm-hmm.
It is close.
These could help them get over the top, for sure.
But yeah, this could definitely help. And we still have 3 more cards to see from priest.
I will say that hold them off may be, I mean, if you have a light imbue and you get hold them off, that might make you sad. I mean, it will still be playable, but you're not gonna be able to prepare it to make it cheaper. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It did make me think of Samuro and how happy that would have made you.
Samuro Apotheosis, hell yeah, let's go. Yeah.
I don't know if there's better things to do in Wild, but
yeah,
I'm sure that there are things in Wild that you'd be happy to give +5/+5 in lifesteal, though.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, that brings us to what I believe is our final class here, yes, which is Warrior. Big deck energy. So there's, one thing that Hogger might do is, because he duplicates legendaries, that does make your deck bigger. One way that you could do that, if you're doing Egg Warrior or a lot of other things we've discussed, is you just run a really lean legendary package, right? And you only want to duplicate the cards you really want to duplicate because you still want to draw the rest of the, making your deck bigger is usually not good. But there are a bunch of cards in Warrior right now that will reward you for having a larger deck or help you have a larger deck. So, for example, Scrappy Defender is a 4-mana 2/7 taunt with +5 attack if your deck has 25 or more cards. Crowd Control is a 3-mana fire spell with deal 2 damage to all minions, and if your deck has 25 or more cards, deal 2 more. I believe from what they said in the dev video, that's 2 instances of 2, not 1 of 4. If it's active. And
yeah, because it doesn't say, otherwise it would say deal 4 instead, usually.
Yeah. But just to clarify, since it doesn't say deal it again or something, just to make sure that that is clear for everyone. Another way to get your deck size a little bit bigger is Scramble for Gear, which is a 1-mana spell, gain 2 armor, shuffle 5 gear spells into your deck that give 2 armor when drawn. So those gear spells are cast when drawn, get 2 armor, and draw another card. And then there was that neutral card as well.
Yeah, that draws you a card if your deck has 25 or more cards. This is where I was a little bit more annoyed about the packagey thing, right? Because if you're not playing Hogger or a Renathal, I guess, in Wild, right? Then these are never triggering by the time that you can cast them, right? Because you'll have drawn 3 or 4 cards in your opening hand by the time you get to turn 3, if you for crowd control, then you've already drawn down below 25 cards. I guess maybe on turn 3 on the play, it might be active if you don't have Hogger, but otherwise it's not. And like these could be kind of like, okay, these are much better in the early game cards, right? If it said 20.
Right, yeah.
Right? Then these could be cards that you would want to put in a Hogger deck, but you wouldn't have to because maybe they're better in the early game and you take the risk on that as a control deck. But as they're written, you pretty much cannot put them in your deck unless you're playing Hogger, because even Scramble for Gear, right? You would have to have that like on turn 1 in order to really be sure that this is going to happen. And even then you could just like, unless you're playing that immediately before these to get back up above 25, that's still kind of rough to be able to do that. And you could also, if you play it on 1 and then you could just draw all the rest of them out, before you get a chance to play these, which maybe if you're getting 10 armor on turn 2, that's probably fine. But even so, it makes these that they really have to be played with Hogger, and it's really hard to play them elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think Hogger is just so eminently playable that it's not a huge deal. Like this is
it's playable in that but it's a playable in a certain way, right? Because like what the thing we talked about with Egg of Kalos, right? You're putting 2 extra cards in your deck. That's not going to move the needle for these. This is wanting you to play like, oh my god, it's full of stars, right? And then have a big deck, and then these are always active. That's kind of what this is incentivizing you to do. It's not incentivizing you to play like a really lean Hogger package that only has a couple of legendaries that you want to duplicate that are really important.
But I think that's fine, right? And there's other stuff, right? Scramble for Gear. There might be more shuffle things that we haven't seen yet, right? We have 4 more cards for Warrior. And there's the Dragon Soul spell, right?
Yeah.
Like that's going to be 6 more cards in your deck. If you complete the Warrior quest, you shuffle a ton of cards in your deck. You get Carnassa, puts 20 Raptors in your deck. Like there are ways.
Yeah, I mean the Dragon Soul gets so much worse in this deck though, because
does it?
Well, because you're much less likely to draw them and have them be adjacent to each other.
But you have twice as many.
Yeah.
It depends on how many other legendaries you have.
Yeah.
That might be something where you have to play with it to see if it's worth it or not. You have to make sure that your curve doesn't get too high with all these duplicated legendaries. Is definitely something to keep an eye on. Illusory Greenwing, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that shuffles 2 dragons into your deck. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm much more with you on like Scrappy Defender, right? Where it's like you want to have that on curve and it's less likely to be active the longer things go, and 25 is really cutting it close if you're trying to do, as you say, a leaner package. Crowd control, I think it's totally fine because it's like there are ways you can manipulate that number. It's like, well, this is like a really good clear if you're getting both halves, and otherwise it's still a fire spell that's 2 damage AoE, to all minions, right? Which you could use to.
Yeah. I guess all I'm saying is that like it would be nice for them to print these things that could be used in other ways that don't have to be. I mean, Are you playing crowd control, or are you playing a different removal spell, right? Like, I think that's really what it comes down to.
It's fire and it's enrage. We kind of have some synergies in different places for both fire spells and enrage effects. So I could see it being played in those situations. Maybe. And in fact, in an enrage situation, you wouldn't actually necessarily want it to deal 4.
That's fair. Yeah.
Well, and fire spell does AoE, which makes Volcano better potentially. Because if you can clear the way for the Volcano hits to go face, that could be nice. Yeah, I don't know exactly what kind of stuff is going to win, but I feel like I'm more forgiving on crowd control because I feel like it's okay as a 3-mana 2 damage to all minions that sometimes is really good in the early game. Yeah, Scrappy Defender, we probably just don't play, but
Yeah.
Scramble for Gear, I'm excited because I've been trying to do like a burn warrior. It's because you've got the +2 spell damage minion, and you've got now there's the the prepare spell damage minion, and they have a surprising amount of burn, right? There's fire spell that gives you a dark gift, there's bash in core, there's precursory strike, there's I feel like there was one more. You can always run the Murloc to get a rock. So like there's a decent amount of just warrior burn spells, and then being able to get +2 spell damage. I feel like you could do like an auctioneer Vanessa thing in warrior, and Scramble for Gear would go well with that. But
Oh yeah, there's that one spell that like draws you a card if the minion doesn't die, or it summons you a minion if it does.
yeah, Eternal Toil. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cheap stuff, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Enzo in a while. I feel like he would be the perfect person to build that deck.
Yeah. Yeah. Another prepared card just for warrior though that I think is great. 7 mana 3/12 beast, rampaging hound. Prepare, battle cry, force all enemy minions to attack this. So you can use it as just like a prepare on 3, play on 4 AoE, right? Like 3 damage AoE to a lot of boards, right? Maybe there will be hand buff again for warrior at some point.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good enough without hand buff.
And there are dark gifts.
There are dark gifts, and if we do get hand buff, then that gets nuts.
I mean,
fast.
Prepare on 3, play on 4 is a pretty good curve for this. Like, I think that's a solid early game AoE.
Yeah. Or but if you're running Xavius and you get like +2 attack lifesteal.
+3 attack. But yeah.
A +3 attack, even better. Yeah.
That would be really good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Or just +4/+5, put it on the top of your deck. Sure. That's fine.
I mean, actually, now that you're saying that, any of the dark, not any, but a lot of the dark gifts, right? Yeah, there's the Reborn one, there's the, so you could, have a big thing left over. There's the, put it on top of your deck with +4/+5, obviously kills a lot more stuff there.
2/2 and elusive is fine.
Yep. So
Divine Shield and Wind Fury might even be okay because it just gives it one extra thing that it lives through. It's not the best, but it's fine.
Well, and because the Dragon Warrior has discover a warrior minion with a dark gift, right? Like you might just see that sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks like a good minion, and I'm happy to see more and interesting warrior clears, even if I still miss Brawl.
Fair enough.
I mean, you can miss Brawl. I miss Shard of the Naru. We all have our cards that we have in the Wolverine picture frame.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
I think we have done it.
We have many folks we'd like to thank. Check out the thanks section on our website at Concede.com. You can also find our contact info, show notes, and our Patreon information. You can monetarily support our show at patreon.com/Concede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.concede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.concede.com. Write into our email at concede@gmail.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at Concede. Subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@Concede. And if you'd like some CC swag, head on over to our shop at, is it the right one now? Or still
link in the show notes.
Coming very soon.
We have to go to the new site to fix those links again. So
very soon it'll be a simple name again.
Soon TM, not soon TM, but actual soon.
Yeah. Concede to Child of Hurin for the sub during the show. Concedes.
I am going to concede to Glacier, who rescued my sanity without knowing it. Because I had a hellish commute on the way home on Tuesday, where a cargo train derailed on the line that my train takes. Which meant I had to call Maureen and beg her to come rescue me from before where my stop normally was. But Glacier had posted something in the Magic channel wanting Commander deck help, which let me go into full-on hyper-focus autistic special interest mode for a good 45 minutes looking at their deck list and finding things for them to do, which gave me a good way to pass the time. Aside from the fact that I was in like this little ice cream shop, that I was eating ice cream to console myself, that I was sitting in stranded and not actually on my train heading home. So I appreciated the distraction while I was sitting there. I mean, the ice cream was also very good, so that was also distracting, but that only lasted for about 5 minutes, and then that was gone. I did get a little brain freeze. So Glacier and ice cream both. I was very, very cool and collected while I was waiting for Maureen to come pick me up. It also happened to be the twins' birthday, which made it worse. That it was it was, making it take me that much longer to get home, and not able to celebrate the birthday. Well, I mean, we did eventually, but not when we would have liked to.
Yeah, I forgot that was the twins' birthday. That's
Yeah,
very frustrating.
Yeah.
But happy birthday to them.
Yeah. They're 17. It's very upsetting.
I guess.
Well, let's see. I will concede to my husband again. I've been like anxious about a few things this week, and I keep bringing them up again. Like, what should I do about this thing? When like we already decided what I should do about the thing. I just haven't done the thing about it yet because I'm still anxious about it. So he has been patient with me on that, going through them, and mostly resolved at this point. Whenever there are big questions about like, what should I do for my career in the future with capital F, I get really anxious. So I appreciate him continually being patient with me on that. And yeah, we've been doing a lot of like, what do I want to do when I grow up conversations. So yeah.
Well, yeah. Once again, I will concede to both of you for really holding things together when I've just had like a crazy busy start to the summer with being sick and casting, and now I've got this family vacation thing. So really appreciate you supporting through that. And then concede to, I don't actually know who the lead designer on this set is.
Ben Paulson.
Ben Paulson, thank you. Concede to Ben Paulson, because despite my griping and wishing that a few things were pushed a little further or made to start a game or guaranteed, like I still am like far more excited for this expansion than I even was for Cataclysm. So I feel that is an upward trajectory that I feel good about. And yeah, tentatively optimistic. I want to break some rules once. So, let's do it.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for us for this week. So until next time, keep calm and don't overdraw. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
All life must end. I yield for now. I concede. Well fought. I concede.
You win this one.
The victory is yours.
You have bested me.
I give up.
You win this one, friend.